our podcast. This is Jolissa.
And this is Mariah.
This is episode 1, talking about mental health through COVID.
Alright, so how do you feel your mental health during COVID was?
There was definitely a significant decline. It was very weird not having everyone that I normally had and not the usual routine without those interactions. I lost a lot of relationships and bonds that I had with people.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're talking about. I did as well. Some of my friends, their friend groups broke apart during COVID just because the interactions during COVID were cut down, and most of us were talking through media, and we were just communicating entirely on Snapchat or like FaceTiming every day. There was no physical interaction for months for some of us, and that just led to like a complete feeling of isolation for me, at least. So that's what it's really done for me.
Yeah, I think the media definitely played a large role. Everyone was able to communicate still through social media, but it was very limited. And the media also made it more widespread, so everyone was able to relate to each other in the declining mental health issues that we were all facing.
I do feel like it did affect my home life more than a superficial type of, and more than a superficial type of way. I mean, a big part of my household was my quinceañera. And so when the venue started to bankrupt and people were losing money, a lot of my friends, especially with the Hispanic background, seemed to suffer because they were losing a lot of money within their family. And so it was very mentally challenging, physically challenging for them. And like it took away a part of our culture for at least a solid 2 years. So, it really just ruined a lot for my household and many Hispanic friends that I have.
Yeah, I think that lack of interactions and that key cultural piece could play into symbolic interactionalism. We couldn't make meaning out of, like you said, your quince, which is such a big deal, that got lost. And those interactions were no longer possible because of COVID.
I just feel like this entire impact, like specifically on my anxiety, when we're so used to being socialized in public, and we are just, we're used to being out and about, talking, meeting hundreds of people each day, and then you take that all away in a matter of days. I think that played such a huge part with my anxiety. I remember going back to a mall after COVID and having an anxiety attack because there was so many people. So I definitely feel like mentally it just lessened everybody's socialization.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely happened really fast. I was in a really weird place mentally at first, and I just kind of denied it altogether and, didn't want to, say, oh, this is gonna happen for 2 years. So I just kind of ignored it.
I don't know, I think we have covered what we went through, what we've seen others go through. And I think what we can take from this is that, those social norms, those social values we had learned to adapt to, and our entire way of existence was just completely snatched in a matter of moments. So I think that's a big thing we should be thinking about when we're thinking about the impacts of COVID on our mental health. Alright this was our episode 1 mental health for our ASMR podcast. Have a lovely day. I think we also forgot to mention and give a shout out to opethnography, which was a form of participant observation, which is us describing what we're going through. You know, it's us talking about where the feelings and actions that we had during this become the main point of, you know, this project, this study that we're doing. That was a huge one, and that includes our field notes that we both mentally taken. We have all these memories and this thick description of things we went through in the past, so that was a really important thing to mention.